All right, so here we go. Foundation wall goes on this footer. So they dig the hole, they pour this little footer, it's 16 inches wide, usually 8 inches tall. It dries, then they come back and they build those plywood forms and they set it on top of the wall. And they pour this, they pour this vertical wall, right? And then there's your little window. Do you see right here and right here? That's rebar that runs inside the foundation wall that you can't see. Now, sometimes there's rebar that runs above this that you can't see. Now, when on a remodel situation, they pour in place this little thing called a buck. And that's, you see the blue up at the header here?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a little cast in place buck and it holds a little rectangle window. Okay, after it's all complete, they strip the forms and then they set the glass inside this little opening. Okay, no big deal. It's a little cheesy window. All right, I'm going to talk to you about the footer system. So you can see all these loads in this situation are translated vertically, right? They just go straight down this wall. In 90% of the rest of the country, it's a foundation type like this. You should really verify whether or not you're on caissons or whether you're on a continuous footer if you're not going to use our system. If you use our system, then it doesn't matter because it's getting steel anyway. The next thing, so you see how close this is right here? In order to make your new structural steel piece the old school way, you have to lower this beam, you have to lower this piece of steel down in the opening a bit because otherwise it'll splay the concrete out at the top. You need like, you see, so you basically have to lower the window. You could have to lower the window up to 4 inches so that you can get a good bite into the top of the concrete. So now you've lowered the window, now you've lowered it 4 inches. Okay, you have to lower the window the old school way. All right, so you lower the window, you got to tear back the drywall, you got to put a separate piece of structural steel in, then you got to come back in and you put 8 pieces of wood here and you insert your window. Okay, now with my system, here's the ExoFrame. It's one piece of steel, right? Solid. You put a gasket on the back, you slide it in, you fasten it with 4 screws and you're done. All right, so this eliminates, first, it eliminates the need for specific engineering because the product is so over-engineered, it'll mitigate for almost any structural force that you could imagine in a residential situation. But it's so over-engineered that you don't have to even do a load study. You can pretty much blindly say this thing is strong enough to mitigate for whatever foundation forces you have. All right, now, so now this goes in the old school way, probably at a minimum would take you 2 hours. This goes in a couple of minutes. It gaskets against the wall. It's one continuous seal. All right, it works for car windshields. So the gasket, right? The other thing it does at the same time that it goes in here, the old school original buck systems, if they're carrying brick up here, often you'll see these guys begin to bow here. But when you put this in and it makes constant contact with the top, it stops any further buckling or bowing, right? All right, now, so then it's time, I'm getting ready, I'm gonna go off the caissons now just for demonstrative purposes so I can hold this thing better. We're back on a footer. You got your window in, right? You got your, you got your ExoFrame in. Do you see the little tiny holes there?
Yeah.
Those are specially designed to snap and overlap into this frame. So here's a window. The window has got those, remember those outside flanges on them? On the window, do you remember seeing that? So it's like a roofing tile. It just sticks right in here. It laps in. It's done. Okay, the steel now serves as a structural element. It serves as trim. It's painted. It's no maintenance. It's 80 pounds. It saves a ton of time. It mitigates for all these diagonal forces. It mitigates for this top force right here. Okay. So this is what we're selling. We're not selling a retrofit window. We're selling an engineered solution. Okay. People that have always been looking for a solution to egress windows are always trying to figure out the best way to do it because it's so complex. It's a complex situation. All right. Now, so this means you're in Illinois. You want to put an egress window in. All right. You have to get it engineered. You have to custom fabricate steel to fit in the opening that you've engineered. Then you've got to figure out, how am I going to fasten my window in? Because windows are not designed to go against concrete. Then, so in order to do that, if you're going to fasten the window in with 8 pieces of wood, if you want to use the same size window, you have to shrink down the opening 3 inches for the wood on either side. So, same size opening, all things being the same, opening glass relative to opening size, you get significantly more glass in the opening using this system. Because this frame takes up a ½ inch, lumber is going to take 3 inches. The list goes on and on. Okay, no engineering, no sourcing products. It's a complete solution. There's wiggle room. If you don't make your cut good, this 4 inches on the other side will mitigate for that. Okay, so it's just, so this is what we're selling. We're not just selling a replacement window. It's relevant in other parts of the country because there's more to it than just the soil. Sometimes these bucks fail. So remember, additionally, on the inside of the building, there's a 50% chance that you're carrying a floor joist load and the roof load over top, depending which way the roof joists are running, and the brick veneer. Do you see this little cutout ledge right here? It's a brick ledge.
Yep.
So this wall now is carrying a boatload of weight. Bricks, floor joist, possibly ceiling, and snow, depending on where you are in the country. Well, this solution just comes back and replaces the existing solution and makes it stronger. The other thing is it's so much faster. So, and you don't absolutely need it in other areas where there's not expansive soil, unless you decide that you want to make the opening wider. So let's say you said to your husband, honey, I want a 4-foot wide window in here. And the window that's in here is 3 foot wide. Well, you've got custom steel work, or you can just buy our 4-foot ExoFrame and install it like that. Okay, so this, we're not selling, it's a beautiful product, but we're not selling pretty. We're selling an engineered solution. That's why we have 80,000 hits on a YouTube video, or 100. I don't know how many we have now. It's a pragmatic, solid, simple, sophisticated design. There's about the product, the kit, that are really, really important. All right, the glass. Normally glass for a window, you just tap it and it breaks. Our glass is laminated. This is a huge deal. You need a sledgehammer or a crowbar to smash it out. You don't ever have to lock your grate. Okay, because people ask, do we lock our grate? The next thing we do, all right, so usually handles on windows are midway down the window, right? 50-50, right smack in the middle. Well, we buy these by the truckload, so we have the handles lowered. So like, therefore, a kid can reach the handle and turn it without stepping on something. We have our windows made with that outside flange. This is the ExoFrame, but the window mimics this ExoFrame. Rather than a nailing flange, it has the outside flange. Now, let's go to the window well. So now, you're going to put this egress window in. The window well comes up to about here. Okay? So that means the bottom of the window well is down here. That's 5 feet underground. All right? When you buy window wells new from the factory, they come with flanges that go to the outside, this way. All right, now, if you want to fasten this down here, how are you going to do it?
You've got to dig a much bigger hole.
Right. Okay, now, So what happens when you dig? So then you dig a much bigger hole, you hold a guy by his ankles, and you drop him down in there head first, and you fasten it. All right. Now, what else happens when you have to dig this bigger? You got to backfill it, right? You're going to compact it. Now, so point being, the less soil you disturb, the better, because there's no backfill. Even when you backfill, what do you get? You get settling. Okay? When you get settling and you get a rain, what's going to happen? The water is going to go right down here. All right? So the list goes on and on. That's why we have that huge machine that welds the flanges to the inside of the window well. Now we don't have to over excavate. Nobody has to over excavate. So now you go, well, why can't you buy a window well like that from the factory? Is if the flanges go to the inside, that you can't nest them. You can't ship them. You can only ship like five at a time on a pallet, maybe 10. Whereas window wells with flanges to the outside, you can ship 25 on a pallet.
I have a question. In terms of, can you estimate a volume difference between the hole that you need to dig for an ExoFrame window well versus a traditional one?
Yeah, so let's say at least a foot more each side. Foot wide, 3 feet out, and 5 feet deep. So 15 cubic feet of dirt on each side.
Wow, yeah, 30 cubic feet of dirt is a lot of dirt.
That's a lot of dirt.
Extra.
Right, okay? Something that sets us apart is we are a fulfillment center. We're like the Amazon for egress windows. Everything you want is there. We own it, we put it on a pallet, and we send it to you, okay? We're not just suppliers. We're the people that designed the system. I would say you should be able to do this in total and with a third of the time required to do another window. So you don't have to go out and buy it. You don't have to design your system. You don't have to chase down fasteners. You don't have to chase lumber. You don't have to figure out how the window is going to fit into the lumber. All right, to give you an idea, once the hole's dug, if you follow the video, a maximum of 2 hours and this project's done.